Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I've got two more authors. We're going to have a conversation about the vulnerability of promoting your book. And it's going to be interesting because they're both authors who talk about that, who support authors in that. But if you stick around, I'm going to ask them, I'm going to put them on the spot about their own experience promoting their own books and whether or not they have any empathy. Maybe not. I don't know. For me, I like talking about my work, but I didn't start out there. I will tell you, I got to this place because I wrote my first book. And when I realized it was a good book and I wanted people to read it, I then realized I didn't really have a plan for that last part. So that set me on a path that led to me now being a book launch strategist many years later with 4 books under my belt. I didn't plan to write even one book, and suddenly I have 4. With me today, I have Diana Morgan and Sophie Lechner. Diana, will you introduce yourself and the book that you had in the Kindle Flash Sale?
Yes, thanks, Robbie. My name's Diana Morgan. My business is Whole Heart Marketing, and my book is the social media success, the Whole Heart social media success formula: what to say, where to play, and how to win intentional social media for purpose-driven entrepreneurs. And it is a book, it's an evergreen book for people who struggle with social media. Most of the people that I'm writing to were not born with a mouse in their hand, and they are not used to the level of exposure that is available to us today. And so they just don't get it, and so they don't do it. And that's what this book is about. It's really like it's my own story of coming to being visible, strategies and techniques and tools on how to really get yourself out there.
Awesome. Well, I feel like this is going to dovetail really nicely with Sophie's book. So, Sophie, you've been teed up. What's your book about?
Yeah, I think there's a huge overlap between what you and I talk about. So my name is Sophie Lechner. I'm in New Jersey, and I've written a book to help mission-driven entrepreneurs who I have found a lot of times just hate marketing. They see marketing as this thing that they have to do that's performative, that doesn't feel like them, that's uncomfortable. And they end up not doing, feeling that it's really something that's totally different, separate from their client work, and they wish they could just do their client work. And my point of view is that marketing is client work. It's just client work that you do before the people sign up with you. And so this whole philosophy I distilled into a model with 3 strategies and 3 key pillars and strategies and all of that to really be able to shine the spotlight on your mission, on your work, on your clients, take the spotlight off of yourself, and discover a different energy that you can put into your marketing, and therefore a different energy that you put out when you're visible now.
Mm. So I have 4 books in this campaign, but there's 2 that I think work with your books. Small list, big results. Launch a successful offer no matter the size of your email list. It's all about building an audience before you try to sell an offer. And then the core part of that book was Wake Up Your Network, which is an exercise for discovering likely prospects and referral partners, which is then the core part of my latest book, Launch Your Book, An Entrepreneur's Guide to Reviews and Drive Revenue. Now, my whole plan is based on people believing they have a network of likely prospects and referral partners, and they're willing to go and activate that network. And that's a big deal. That's like even more than asking them to just post on LinkedIn once a week. So I am all ears. Like, how do you open people up to the possibilities? Diana, I'm going to go back to you. Where do you find people start in this? Like, you have a sense of where they can go, but what are the ways they describe the situation they're in? Whether I don't know if they call it even a problem or a hesitancy or shyness. Like, how do the people you're interacting with even think about their own resistance to being out there in the world and putting their content out?
Right, because you can't take people too far too fast. Most people are not going to really know that they're resistant. But how it manifests in a lot of my clients is like one of the things, like what Sophie says, is they hate social media. But even more than that, they're overwhelmed by it. They're confused by it. I joke about I've fallen into Facebook and I can't get out. They click on the link and all of a sudden they're like on YouTube watching videos of kitty cats for 2 hours, and or cleaning their house or something far more important. And so it's not, they don't, because they don't really know. Because what happens is you open up wherever you are, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and you start the scroll. That's one of the things I address in my book is stop the scroll. My work is really focused on free organic reach, which is like just you showing up as you to keep social media moving forward. And so you open it up and you see one thing and it just basically triggers you, sends you out of your body, and you're just like, you're done. And so I really help people to focus on how to get past that.
Even being aware of it would be a start.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's the first step. And it can just be overwhelming.
You said the thing about I've fallen into Facebook and I can't get out. One day my dad sent me this is years back. He sent me a Facebook friend request. And I was like, I remember exactly where I was getting out of my car. I was parked at a supermarket. And I called because I thought someone clearly like stole his identity or something. Like he was so anti being on Facebook. Because it was at the time where like, my whole generation had gotten on, and it was not a new thing anymore. It had been around for a long time, and it was becoming, the way you get invitations, the way you see photos. My sister is 6 years older, and because my parents wouldn't be on Facebook, she had to post things on some other photo album site. And I don't do that. Like, I think I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put them on Facebook. Well, I think he was trying to find the latest of her photo album links. He couldn't find it in his inbox. He went to Facebook. He filled out the thing. Next thing you know, he's an account. It suggested connections. He checked something. It like sent the connection request out to everyone who was on that first screen that was like check marked. He may have even linked his like phone contacts. I mean, things happened. Like 20 minutes later, I'm on the phone with him. You're like, what's going on? Of course, he loves it now. He loves it. His whole life, it's like gets to do all these cool things. He sees what's going on in my life, my sister's life. So, but yes, like that's a whole generation. But clearly, everyone's a little bit confused when they first get on these things. Sophie, you and I connected initially. You were like really into the whole idea of using LinkedIn in a relationship-based way. That was a platform you learned, you understood, you were trying to teach us how it looks. It's interesting because it's still different than some social media platforms, but it's become much more social media than it used to be. I still play there a lot because it's where I think most of my people are, whether they are seeing it passively or interacting. I never know, who knows? But you broaden your message. So share a little bit about your evolution around that and how you now think about what does marketing even mean then?
Yeah. So what happened was I during the pandemic, I pivoted from the previous business I was doing to LinkedIn Coach because I coached a lot of people who were kind of frozen during the pandemic or the beginning of the pandemic, and taught them how to use LinkedIn. And a lot of people came back, and anyway, it became a business, training business. And what happened was a lot of people were telling me, you're really helping us, but you're helping us with more than just how to use LinkedIn. And I said, okay, that's great, but what am I helping you with? And they couldn't really articulate it. So I went back and really studied what it was I was doing. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that initially when I got on LinkedIn, it was a joy for me. It was a hobby. It was something that I was just enjoying and connecting with people and having fun. I wasn't using it for work at all. This went on for years. And it was only when I started my own company, the first one, years ago, after using it for maybe 10 years, that I saw that it was a powerful network. And so I think my whole approach was just all built around having fun with it, having interesting conversation and meeting people. And basically, just to cut a long story short, that's how I see marketing now. And so that was the full circle moment, is determining all the things that I had been doing that I think make for strong marketing, and realizing gradually, as I was building the model, that it really wasn't about LinkedIn, that it was about a different approach and different mindset and a different set of actions that you have to take.
It's interesting. Both of you seem to be talking about the idea of being intentional and strategic, not just acting or reacting to like the scroll or what other people are putting out there. One of the techniques that I have shown people, and as I'm saying this, I always joke I don't do it, but I now have a reason to do it. So now I'm kind of excited. You can make search results, let's say 5 profiles search results that you bookmark so you can quickly pull up that bookmarked link and see the posts from that person or those 5 people. And I just went to a conference and I'm about to go to another conference all around authors and publishing. And these are not people I'm super close to. And that's the kind of people I would want to pop in, every couple of weeks, see what they're posting about, make sure I'm part of the conversation, see who's commenting on their stuff so I can then send out connection requests and slowly like get back into that sort of, be part of a conversation. But I wouldn't be just showing up like right now. I open LinkedIn and I say something about a book and I hop on right away. But this would be, okay, I know I've got 30 minutes. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to see, what these 5 people posted. And do I want to either discuss it, respond to it, elevate it, something like that. But you have to kind of know what you want. Like I had a technique without a purpose for using it. And Diana, how do you help people marry those two things? Because you both have techniques in your books, but until people can see the purpose of it, and I'm the person who's teaching it, right? So I'm like, oh, this is a great tool. I learned about it 3 years ago.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh, I have a really good use case for this now. How do you help people match the process to the outcome?
Right. I mean, I love that. And, I think, I think that the very first step is really getting that while social media can be the most annoying thing that ever walked the face of the earth, it can also be a powerful force for positive change in the world. And I think 2 things have to happen before a person is going to become willing to engage in social media. One is that they have to get that they have their message is important and they have an opportunity to make a bigger impact, and that they can do it, and they don't have to be that person. It's like, I can't be that person who does those kind of reels or those kind of videos, or they have to realize they don't have to be that person. And that
we don't all have to be a TikTok influencer.
No, you don't.
No dancing required.
You have to do is be you. And and so, I actually also recommend a strategy of picking, but I say pick 5 people a week. And these people, you start with, who am I talking to? How do I help them? And what do they need to hear from me right now? And then from there, you imagine you're talking to this one person. Like I try to help them make social media smaller. So it's like you're just talking to one person. So you pick your 5 people a week who are active on social media, your messages are in alignment, and they could potentially be a somehow strategic partner. And you can start wherever you want. If you're more on LinkedIn, start on LinkedIn. If you're more on Facebook, start on Facebook. And then from there, a couple people are going to play with you, a couple people aren't. And you just keep building that. And how you play with them is by engaging. It's not by pasting your thing in their messenger. It's by engaging, by sharing their content, by caring about them. And one of the things I want to come back to, you talked about, Robbie, is building your platform before you launch your book. And this is how I built my platform. I've been doing this for 20 years. And how I built my platform was 5 people at a time. I didn't know that's what I was doing at the time. But by the time I got to launching my book, it was like I asked 100 people if they would share the link in a little messenger message, and probably 75 of them did. And I got myself to #1 bestseller that day on Amazon, but it's like, that's how you do it. And once you start to do that, then you start to like social media, you start to care about your notifications, and everything starts to accelerate. And the other piece that you have to get, this is really important. So I wanted to encourage everyone who's listening to take a deep breath, because most people go out of their body when I say this, that, spend an hour a day, which is like at least 15 minutes 4 times a day. And they have to think about how much is 1, 2, or 3 clients worth to them. And if 1, 2, or 3 clients a month, over 3 months, over 6 months is not a hot number for you, then you're probably not going to do it. And you might want to think about your business model. I mean, that's the right,
Truth
because
teller.
I'm a Pisces. I am the truth
I love
teller.
it.
Yes. So yeah, I mean,
I have the other extreme just to share that when I was first getting started, um, figuring out marketing was like the entire business because I didn't have more than a client at a time.
Mhm.
I was still trying to figure out who my clients were, what my message was, what was my service, what was my offer, what was my unique selling proposition, what was my I mean, God, there's like, in every program you hire, they're like, who's your ideal client? And they're like, you're like making stuff up. But meanwhile, I'm trying to create content. And then there's this moment where I now have so much content. I have so much. I'm repurposing my little butt off. And I now have to hire somebody to help me actually get it out in the world because it's no longer my primary responsibility to be a content creator because I'm actually a business owner and I have a service that I provide to clients. And I think that there's a shift where at first people go into business because they have something they want to sell, they want to do, they want to offer, but they become like really wrapped up in how to do content. And they try to do everything that everyone else is doing and they sound a lot like everybody else and there's no uniqueness. But at some point, you hope that it works and they actually start getting clients. Sophie, I feel like some of the people you're talking to are probably not as nervous about social media maybe as what Diana's describing, but they maybe aren't using it very effectively. Like where did they start from?
Yeah, I think there's again, like as I was saying earlier, I think there's an overlap. There's a discomfort with social media. So whether they're overwhelmed or whether they're just uncomfortable, I think the same things that make them uncomfortable with social media make them uncomfortable with the rest of their marketing in general. It's this whole
Right.
idea of putting the spotlight on themselves. But I think, I wanted to add to what you were saying earlier, Diana, the whole thing about agency. I think marketing, the way it's being taught, and definitely social media, robs you of your agency. And that's the whole thing about falling into Facebook or others. And if you really focus on keeping your agency, and that goes to what you were saying, Robbie, about figuring out the names, who you're going, you keep your agency, and that is going to make a huge difference. And that's how you're going to be able to control that little piece of the universe of social media, of marketing, that is yours.
All right. So I had mentioned that I was going to ask each of you what it was like to market your own book. Sophie, you had a book out now a couple of years now, is it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and since then, man, the floodgates, you have, then a workbook and then you got the audio version out. You're just going. So, but did you find anything different about marketing the book? Was it easier? Was it harder? I mean, in one sense, you have this thing that you really worked hard on, but also
Yeah.
there's like a urgency to do it right, I guess.
Yes. So I would say a couple of things. In a certain sense, it was harder because it was a lot more of me putting myself out there. On the other hand, it was easier because I saw it as my way of starting a movement. And that's something that I talk about in my book that helps you to get out there and kind of get over yourself in a way. And so those two things were happening in parallel. The whole period before the book came out, I found very easy to market it because I wasn't really marketing it. I was sharing ideas. I was saying, oh, I said this in this chapter, and here's this model I'm thinking about, and what do you think? And this was all fine and dandy, and I wasn't having any emotional or mental hangups with it. Now, as soon as the book was, well, not when it was ready to come out, like a little bit before, I started, freaking out that what, yeah, what if people don't like it, and what if they think it's, bad or whatever. And that's where starting to get the reviews before the launch, exactly as you point out, Robbie, in your program, in your course, made a whole difference. Because as soon as you have one testimonial, one person who says, "Oh my God, this idea, this made a big difference for me," then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, okay. As long as I'm helping some people, it's okay if it's not millions. I'm good to go." So those were some of the things that came along as on the way.
I want to underscore the timing of that for folks who want to do this for themselves. What you did and what I recommend is you give the advanced reader copy PDF, which is usually a PDF of the print version because it's ready fastest. It could be the PDF of the ebook version, depending on how quickly you can get it formatted. But you give that to your launch team. I like to use bookfunnel.com. There's an inexpensive or free option to do that. And you give them also somewhere between 3 and 5 prompts. And you say, using these prompts, write a 2 or 3 sentence helpful review. You don't ask for a positive review. You just ask for a helpful review. And if they answer 2 of the prompts, that's it. They don't have to do much more than that. But you collect those advanced reviews via a Google form because the book doesn't exist yet. So they can't publish it. But it is at this really tenuous moment for the author where everything is out of their hands. Like they've written the book, it's been formatted, cover design, everything's set to go. There's just like this waiting moment before they can actually send. And it's like the first moment you have to think. Like you've just been doing. And then you're like, what have I done? And right then, those first early advanced reviews come in. And it's like, And then when the book goes live, you send that content, that review text back to that person with the instructions for how to buy your book and leave the review. And that's how you can focus. And by the way, shout out to Sophie Lechner. She has 89 global ratings.
Wow.
And 86 of those people left a written review. That's a very high ratio, nearly 100% for that number of ratings. That is really incredible. So with this current Kindle Flash Sale that we're in, I'm hoping we'll be able to push you closer to or over that 100 mark. But holy cow, good job. Good job. And new reviews keep coming in. I see that there's a lot of recent ones too. So it's an ongoing effort. Diana, your book's been out a bit, but as you mentioned, it's evergreen.
Right.
And marketing practices keep changing. So what are some of the things you've tried that's maybe, because people always say to me, I don't know how to relaunch this book, or I don't know how to market the book now that it's been out a few years. It's like, well, but is it still relevant? So the answer is, okay, your book's relevant. How did you continue to make it clear that you had it? Because sometimes you meet people and they don't know you as an author because it was like not a thing you're talking about today. But you've managed to still keep this a big part of the work.
Right. So I post something at least once a week to on all my social media to remind people that my book is out. And I have it in all my profiles. You know, I'm a 4-time best-selling, international best-selling author. And 3 are anthologies, multi-author, and this one. And Kindle sales really help. I love the flash sales. But I did really make sure that my book would be evergreen because I'm talking about the fundamentals of how to really understand the internet, how the internet works, and how, you know, viral marketing works and all of that, as well as down to the specifics of social media. The other thing I did was I created a free, sometimes it's free, sometimes it's $7, depending, product. And what it is, at the end of each of my chapters, there are 3 strategies, take action strategies. And then my free product is an extension of that, which is like a video and a workbook to take them to the next level with each of those strategies. So I do a lot of speaking and I'm in a lot of giveaways, and that's what I give away. So it gets them back to buy my book as well.
I love the idea of bringing the book into an ecosystem, or building the ecosystem out around the book. And I know, Sophie, you started doing that and it led to a whole nother workbook that is like a book book,
Yeah,
like a, huge, not like a little tiny, printed
yeah,
Kinko's workbook. um,
yeah.
how did you approach that? Yeah.
Yeah, I can talk about that, but you're really making me think, Diana, because we always think about in your book, put something that's downloadable so you could. But I never thought about,
The other direction.
yeah, exactly, and that's genius. So I'm ding, going to jot that down.
You're welcome.
My workbook is a bit of a monster. It's not to discourage people, but once you go through that, you're good. You're good to go.
Yeah. Seriously.
So yeah, I created a PDF that was downloadable when I created my book, and then as I was creating it, I realized it was really a big thing. And the feedback over the following months was that it was, really hard to get through. It was really dense, and so I incorporated in here. It's really a multimedia guide now. It's got QR codes, it's got videos, it's got
It's a course.
um
It really
yeah,
is. The book has
yeah,
happened to be a part of it, but it's like an
yeah,
introduction. In your sense, you have a book that leads to the fuller content, but then that leads them back to you. Like yeah,
yeah. There's AI prompts that I developed that took me a little while to test them and everything else to
yeah.
get some of the work done more efficiently and more deeply. So I ended up publishing that last May, and now I'm working on
That's
another
right.
workbook and another book, a novel. I'm committed to the next Kindle Flash Sale will be my novel. I wanted this one to be my novel. It's not ready, so
So we
next
don't
Kindle Flash.
include fiction in the Kindle Flash Sale.
Yeah,
So
yeah, but it's a business
all right,
novel,
you're
so
all right.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We'll do business fables for sure if that's what it is. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I created the Author ROI Lab, and I now have 3 people signed up. So my founding cohort is
Okay.
happening in the fall, which is really exciting. And a big piece of this is figuring out like who the book is for, who it's not for. Go and talk to those people, find out why they need it. And I just think all of that information, like if authors slowed down and really met with their audience, by the time the book becomes something that they can sell, the idea of not giving people access to the book they now know is 100% what people need. It's like you got to get out of the way. In
Hmm.
fundraising, there's a phrase: if you're afraid to ask for money, kick yourself out of the way and let the cause talk.
Mhm.
And so here it's very similar, but it only works if you believe in the cause. Like if you were trying to fundraise for an organization that you wouldn't give your own money to, it would not matter, you know, how many trainings you'd been to about fundraising. And similarly, like if you don't believe in the value of your message in the book, it doesn't matter how much marketing techniques you learn. It's like you've got to
Hmm.
believe the value. So a little more time, like validating the offer, the idea, the concept, the audience, the way they frame it, I just think would change people's perspective. Because for me, I'm like, I'm on a mission to get more people to know about what I talk about because like I can't
Yeah.
imagine keeping it quiet now that I see how well it
Mhm.
works. And that probably propels me more than any other ego or
Exactly.
shyness or anything else that might be those extremes.
Mm.
Sophie, you're nodding along, and then I'll go to Diana.
Yeah, no, I'm just nodding along because I see entrepreneurs who spend so much time behind the scenes. Danny Eni called it in the bat cave, is it really developing your stuff. And because you have this clear idea, or you think you have this clear idea of what people need or want, but maybe not want as much as need, right? And then you go out there and it doesn't sell, and then they've wasted so much time and so much effort, and then they may have to close their business if enough time and has passed and they spent enough money. So yeah, validating, and getting understanding your customers so you can not only build what they need, but also speak to them, tell them in social media, in your marketing, tell them the things they need to hear to
Right.
overcome beliefs that are getting in their way. So really critical.
So Sophie, I don't know why it's happening, but your audio is getting a little funky. And I see
Oh,
your blue snowballs right there.
I don't. Is it good?
Oh, yeah, that's much better. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't want it to be in front of my book.
you're good. All right, sorry about that. Yeah, we have to put your book up higher.
Hopefully, you could still hear everything that I said.
Yes, we did. I heard it, but I was like, you're not as. I can tell you've got the fancy mic right there, even with the pink arm. I love
Yeah,
it.
I know, right?
Diana, I'm going to come back to you because you were like, oh, me. I want to jump in. So,
Yeah, I want to jump in. So I'm a blogger from way back, and back to the thing about us promoting our book. I want to say that it took me 6 weeks to push send on my first blog. It was like, oh God, everybody's going to see it, and it's not what happens.
Oh God, yeah. Can I just say I spent about that long writing, rewriting, asked for people, including one person we met in person. I finally had it. I then told Dory Clark, who was like mentoring me at the time, that I had published one, and I said, well, what do I do now? She said, write another one.
Right.
And I was like, what?
Oh yeah.
So as a blogger, that was how I sort of started this whole thing, is blogging, SEO, and all that. And so those blogs became my emails. Those blogs became how I built my platform. And so by the time I got to writing my book, people were responding to my blogs like, oh my God, this is me. So I knew. And I mean, my book was basically 17 years in the making of all of these blogs, and a compilation of all of that and more. And so, I think that back to this, picking the 5 people and building my platform through free organic reach. I think that by doing that, and by having that level of relationship with the people that I play with on social media, even though I have a very big presence, I don't think anybody's more than 2 degrees of separation away from me. And I play on social media. And so I know what my people need. I know what they're saying. I know what they're struggling with. And I think that's a really great way to do market research, is to play on social media with your message. When do you get the deer in headlights eyes, and when do you get the lean in? And those are the things that people want to see you write a book about. And I want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
So I wrote this blog. One of my blogs was called Marketing is Life or Death. And it's a story. You can read it on my website. But the bottom line is that I was there the day a gang shooting happened and a woman's son was murdered. And what I got from that was that we, as people who are healing the world with who we are in our businesses, we need to get our message out, because somebody might die if they don't get our message. And we might die if we don't express our message and our purpose in our lives, because it's just so painful to not be able to get your message out and be who you are in the world.
You're both talking about not writing and creating in secret and innovating in public. And I remember talking to someone. I do all these 30-minute brainstorming sessions. This one was from like 2 years ago. I still remember it though, because she got on the call and said, nobody knows. She's been working on a book for 2 years and nobody knows. And I was like, I'm sorry. What do you mean? No, but like, what do you mean? Nobody knows. She's like, nobody knows. I'm like, okay, tell me more about that. And then she basically said she didn't want anyone to steal her idea. That's more or less what it came down to. And I was like, so you're not known for this idea? And she was like, well, no, I'm writing the book on it. And I was like, how do you know it works? How do you know people need it? Do you know anyone who needs it? Have you talked to them? And so there was this idea where she like got struck with like a lightning bolt of like inspiration. And then she spent 2 years I have no idea what ever happened to her, by the way. I'm like so curious. I didn't ever tracked, but like, I think like being known, having people clamoring like, hey, where's the book, Diana? Where's the book, Sophie? Like, great concept. I want to be able to share it more easily. Where's the book? I have someone I want to introduce you to. Do you have any books for sale? I'm going to introduce, come speak at this conference. We'll give you a spot in our bookstore. And you're like, oh, I better get a book. Like, yeah. So people are like, they're like keying into your message. That's just a different approach than writing, because you either feel like you have to have a book as a professional speaker. You're like going through the motions. That's a lot of how I approached my first book. Or you kind of do it all in secret, like the Bat Cave idea. Or yeah, I'm always like, oh, if I go away for a year and a half and I work on something and then I come to the market's like, who are you? What is this? I don't need this. And I'm like,
Exactly.
like listen, I think we all fall prey to that, but I want us to stop doing it. So marketing, so this is a show about books, but I think the thing I'm taking from this is that the effort to share our message is also a chance to refine it, test it, validate it, get responses, see if people give you that like, huh, look, or they're like, oh, I love this. Sophie, did you want to jump in and anything?
Yeah, because the flip side is important too. So we say, the ideas, put them in a book, and having a book is great. And a lot of people will read the book, but there's also, I think, to be realistic, a good chunk of people who are excited by what you say, what you write in your posts and all this, but they don't actually read the book, or they buy the book, they're excited about it, they read 3 chapters and then they stop. And I think it's incumbent on us to really repurpose our book into a gazillion different ways. And it's hard to do, I find. I mean, it's not hard technically to do, it can be very creative, but I'm finding it hard to keep talking about the stuff in the book because I'm like 3 books ahead. I'm talking about other things in the book that I'm writing now, not other things that are similar, but um, and you have to kind of keep saying the same things. And after a while, it's just hard to find that inspiration, I find, to continue and say the things, not only say them, but not say them as if, they're for granted, take for granted and they're obvious. Like you have to declare them as if they're new again and again. And that I find hard, right?
Yeah, and this is, I think, where it's helpful to repurpose to different formats, like
Mhm.
long form to short videos to stitched video. Like you just kind of, I think, changing the medium can also give it some freshness. That's
Mm.
also why a big piece of my content strategy is having author panels,
Mhm.
because like earlier, I'll give you an example. Diana earlier was talking about international bestseller, and I didn't say anything, but a big part of my message is, yeah, but it probably wasn't even 100 books. Like that's the thing people often do, right? What is the validation that you can get from a book that isn't a vanity metric? And like then we would have that conversation,
Reviews.
right? So yes, and it's reviews. But it's interesting. Here's the thing I noticed is that, and Diana can handle it because she's like a pro. I don't do that to people on my panels because I never want to put someone under like any kind of scrutiny. And so I kind of nod and I might not follow that train of thought, but I'm thinking, okay, you're going to hear it. I'm saying it here first, everyone. I want to set up a truth-telling Substack. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I have to get my back end of my business all tied up into a nice little bow. And then the thing I get to play with this fall, when I finally have that person in place to do a lot of my work here, is I'm going to play with Substack, and I want to do like writing and videos and maybe like have one of you on with me where we really tell some truths and like, declarative statements about the obvious that no one else is saying. And I don't get to do it on a panel because when I'm hosting, my job is to make the guests look good. And I have to guide them to an outcome where they go, oh, I didn't know that, as opposed to like, what? I'm sorry. Did you just say like I wanted, but I need an outlet. I need an outlet. So I'm now thinking about
Mhm.
Substack, and then I might repurpose it to other places. But I don't know. I just feel like all
It'll
three
be
of us
fun.
have a little. I think we're all very helpful, but we're also a little contrarian to the way a
Mhm.
lot of people talk about marketing because
Yeah.
we're relationship based. We
Right.
want humans involved. We want some thoughtful strategy. We're not about volume. So there's like it's the antithesis of a lot of people's messages.
Well, and I want to jump in on what Sophie said because, not only do I hear that all the time from people around their own work, and and what I know is that each of us is an expert in our field. And so while we, on the one hand, I do a free training every month, and it's almost the same content, but there's about 30% new and 70% is my social media success formula because people need to know it. And until everybody is, and this is true, when I ask people, how's your social media going? And usually the answer is, oh, I'm posting, I'm not getting any response. So until I hear, oh man, I'm engaging with people, I'm building relationships, I'm getting referrals, I love it. Until I hear that, I'm gonna still keep saying the same thing over and over again.
That's a good way to look at it.
And the thing about it is like, we in our field, like, don't take this the wrong way, but each of us in our field, we're like the PhD talking to the kindergartners. Yeah. So while our mind is going like, they know that, they don't. And how many times do they need to hear it and get through all the resistance before they're really going to do it?
And then try it and then see whether it works, and then run into a roadblock and then need a little more encouragement. And
so it's like, we can't assume just because they read our book or just because they heard us talk one time. I have people who come to my free thing like 5 or 6 times, and then finally they jump into something, I'm like, okay, but I'm really just going to say the same thing over and over again, but you are welcome to come.
That's awesome. I mean, it's true. This is where we know there's that whole piece about they have to see it 7 times before they sell, right? They buy, that kind of thing. Like, similarly, I often think of my social media as reminders to messages I sent people in email.
Right.
Like, I send out things to people and then I post things on social media. And I think sometimes the reason I get a reply is they go, oh, right, Robbie. Oh, wait, Robbie sent me a thing. I should go respond about that. And they feel good because I did personally invite them. Like, the Kindle Flash Sale is a good example. Like, I send the invitation out in waves, right? So by the time I'm publicly sharing it, I've already sent to everyone who's already been part of the campaign. Everyone is on the wait list, but not everyone replies. And then all of a sudden there's a promotional push that is visible, and they go, oh, did I do that? And they go and they check, and I see a whole influx of returners coming during that early public promotion period. They all got 2 emails, okay, before that. So I mean, I think all of this is a kind of, you have to kind of build it all one. I don't know. There's definitely kind of a spiral going here. It's not. It's not a one path. You gotta catch where they are.
It's kind of self-reinforcing, because I think we're at a point where we've come to expect it. Like, I get invited to an event and I sign up and it's on my calendar, and then I assume I'm going to get reminders. We get to assume it, and so kind of feeds on itself, this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up here, Sophie, you knew about this Kindle Flash Sale before you had a book. I remember you saying, oh, I can't wait till I have a book. But you've now been, I think this is your 4th time participating, which is wild. Yes. That's great. Why? Like, I mean, I'm going to ask Diana, I'm going to ask you a similar question. I mean, you both are very clear marketing professionals. How do you think about the Kindle Flash Sale? And have you been doing more each time you join? Are you doing different things? Because there's like a lot kind of possible. And I don't know if you can do all of it all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to do all of it all the time. And one thing I would say to future signer-uppers to the Kindle Flash Sale is, clear a little bit of your agenda for 4 days so you really can be on top of it and participate fully. I do it because, first of all, selfishly, I get a bump in sales and a bump in reviews every time. But my favorite activity is these calls with you and the other live streams that happen as well from other authors sometimes, and the interaction with the other authors and discovering the books of other authors, and the pleasure of giving and helping by writing reviews also. I know it's not a requirement. Well, it's a small requirement, but it's for the most part.
It's an invitation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's an invitation. But it's a fun thing to do. And as we started the conversation, it's a way to put other people forward that you appreciate. And of course, you get the reciprocal, benefit. And it's just fun to interact with other authors. So I love it.
And Diana, it was a way for you to start talking about a book that maybe you hadn't been talking about, because now I know a lot about this book. You bring it in and I'm like, yeah, I know about this book. I will definitely remember you wrote this book.
Right. I mean, and for me, because I intentionally wrote an evergreen book, and one of the things, because I do talks and workshops on how to, keep your books and podcasts and blogs alive. This is a great way to do it. First of all, write something that's evergreen, have the end in mind when you start. And so it's a great way. It's like a little mini relaunch every time I do this. And I also, the reviews, I'm not that good at the reviews. So every time I get a little better at the reviews. I'm not that much giving them as like, just that whole process of asking for reviews from people who I know have read my book. And so, I'm working on it.
It gives you another opportunity to do that because I ask all the authors to lower their Kindle price 2 weeks before the start of the 4-day campaign. And then I say, here is the emails that you could send to people in your network who were on your launch team or, bought the book. And then you can encourage them to try to get the review in before the start of the campaign, just to give them a little bit of an actual deadline as opposed to just like a theoretical one. And even if you just get 3 to 5 reviews each time,
right,
compared to most people who don't get, well, first of all, almost any reviews from the beginning, and they don't get reviews ongoing, it really can help you for discoverability on Amazon. But also those people who write reviews feel really good about it. Like I've heard from the launch team members, from my clients, like they feel like they feel like they're a part. This is also for my own launches. They feel like they're a part of that message being shared. Like they believe in the message, they want it to be shared, and they feel like they did their part. So it's a small ask. You've got to support them in doing it, but then they're part of this movement. To Sophie's point, they're part of the movement. Well, I want to thank you both for being the part of the Kindle Flash Sale movement.
It is a movement.
8th one. We will have another one in the fall. It'll be around Cyber Monday, and I'll be sending out invitations to the public probably in about October of 2026. And then we do it again in April, and we do it again in July, and then again in the late fall. And so there are opportunities. And if you're working on a book right now, you might want to think about getting it done in time for one of the upcoming dates so that you can launch it properly and then have this as sort of another bump a month or so later. Several people have done that, and it's really cool for early authors, for brand new authors, first-time authors to be part of this right away. Like how awesome that they find their author community, and you're all so generous in sharing. So again, thank you to Sophie. Thank you to Diana for sharing about your books. I'm so glad the two of you finally get a chance to meet, because I'm always, I thought this had happened already. So
yes.
That's very cool. Thanks, everybody.
You,
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.